Happy Monday, good afternoon, and thank you guys for clicking on my video. I do apologize because this video is going to be a little bit on the shorter side, going over the SPY and the Qs, but we will make sure that something in this video does help you. And at least if you need some daily expected moves, we will give those to you. They are the red lines on your chart. So I just have to hop right into it. Now, first off, we do notice that the 2-hour chart is by that center line, and that is about to curl up. If you get a solid confirmation here, and no violation of that happens on the 30-minute curling down, then that does mean we do have the opportunity to do what? Potentially test this high, go make a new one. Now, that would take you outside of your weekly expected move. And if it happens tomorrow, you would be outside of your daily expected move. So what I'm trying to get at here is something that we talked about was this going up to this area. We were right to call that out. The other thing that we need to pay attention to is this has not rolled yet. We do not guess, right? I don't trade based on I thinks. I trade based on confirmations, and we haven't seen that. So we're going to go into the 30-minute chart in a moment, but I do want you to see how if the 2 hour is able to cross up into this area, we have an opportunity to test those highs, but you would be looking for violations to turn back down. Usually we will see some signals for that on the shorter time frames. So let's talk about the daily expected moves as they are really close to that weekly. The daily expected move for tomorrow to the upside for the SPY is 635.91 to the upside. And we do see 626.43 to the downside. You'll notice that if we go into a 30-minute chart, what was able to happen here? Well, we were able to go positive. We see some squeeze-like behavior. Are we very likely to pull back? Usually in this standpoint, you would be, but we still have some earnings shenanigans going on if you are aware. So something that I mentioned to Patreon towards the end of the day, and you can join Patreon in the link in the description. Something I mentioned to them was just, hey, watch out and make sure you are actually having confirmations if you take a trade. That is my way of saying there is no confirmation of downside here. And we are going to tie this to volatility after we get through the Qs. We're going to look at that as well. And you'll notice that there's not really anything that's saying we have to see major volatility come in because VIX dropped off more than it should have. But on your MACD, you were able to cross through that center line. That still says a roll can be mean, but watch out for divergence. It still says a roll can be mean, but watch out for this gap where those buyers stepped in because that could just be a pullback. And I think this would be a probable scenario potentially for tomorrow is if you see this curl down, you notice that if we went all the way down to here, say something crazy happened, that would take you way outside of that zone. And that is not something that is highly likely to happen. Instead, you look at that daily expected move of 626.43, and actually from this positioning with that amount of buying, you would overall suggest saying, hey, if I see this 30-minute curl down and this 30-minute curl up by the center line, that might be the higher low scenario. This means that we may have an upward move if this were to take place. Now let's talk about if it is not going to turn down. If it is not going to turn down, then something we would really pay attention to if August is actually going to be bullish. I know that's kind of crazy, but if that 2 hour is able to curl up, we're able to make a new high and we just keep going, it can be an interesting time. So you're going to want to watch things very carefully. This has not curled down on the MACD. We have not curled down on the RSI. We're not even overbought. So if we wanted to do the thing as in take back the 5, go up, maybe even get outside of the weekly or the daily expected move, and then pull back, this MACD is going to extend into positive territory further, which means anytime that crosses down, it is more likely to just be a pullback. And you're taking back the 5, right? I do not care if the market does not fall right now. I care that I trade based on actual confirmations. Right now, I decided not to take any kind of volatility play here. And when we get to volatility, it's important to pay attention to because it was down by more than 10%, which means we are going to watch the next 2 trading sessions very, very carefully because now you have an 85% chance for a down day in the SPY. So the next 2 trading sessions, the VIX is calling out saying there's an 85% chance for a down day for the SPY. Very, very interesting. So if this is able to extend and raise that floor, it is just taking you further into positive territory. Now, what I'm going to look for this week, if we are going to say this is the top, is do we create 30-minute divergence or something like that at these kind of levels. I think that would be very interesting to do towards the end of the week. We will be watching that very carefully. The last thing I wanted to mention, maybe we could talk about the Qs with it, because it is a similar bow. You notice that it is positive. Everything that we said for the SPY can be the same. So we'll go over some talk here in a second. As we mentioned, the daily expected moves, 569.67, already taking you outside of the weekly expected move. Is something unexpected happening, right? 558.53 to the downside. If this rolls down, you still have the opportunity. And if that curls up, it would be good to react, because that says we are going to go make a new high. And that new high is most likely going to be where? The weekly expected move at the least, right? This is how you treat these kind of moves. It's very, very nice. That's why Patreon's a great thing. But if the 2 hour is able to confirm up and we're able to see a squeeze, something crazy this week, right? If you're able to see this curl up and squeeze, well, then we might raise that floor for a bit of time, and we might be heading up further into August. And I think that needs to be said today. You trade like water means we trade like both directions. If we just pay attention to the signals, we pay attention to the rocks down the stream so that we can see which way the water is flowing, so that we end up in the meadow and not in the sewer with the it clown. That's what I like to say. You have to be able to flip-flop. Another saying I like to say out there is, it is perfectly fine to be a flip-flopper as a trader, but probably not as a politician, right? Being a flip-flopper is perfectly fine as a trader. I have not flip-flopped to this point. We do not have confirmation on this just yet, but it does look like we are squeezing enough that this is going to be able to potentially pull back and curl to the upside again. You even have Tom Lee going out there and suggesting that a new all-time high is possible, or probable actually, for August. So we may need to make signals like this again later on, is all I'm suggesting. Pretty much what I'm saying as far as the market goes today is you saw a little bit too much strength from the market today. And even if it wants to back off, it is starting to look like it wants to go reach up and at least test higher up. We were correct to call out Black Monday 8, the green retest. We were correct to say that, but this retest looks like it may not be over just yet. So if we're able to pull back and the 30-minute is able to curl back up into positive territory, then we would say the weekly expected move can get tagged. If the 2 hour is able to confirm up and doesn't make a divergence point and fall, doesn't make a lower high and fall, well, then this market might be ready to keep going in August, and I have to be honest about that. This will make a little bit of sense with volatility. Now, this is the only reason I'm not necessarily leaning towards us going and making repeatedly new highs in August. This can go away. This can change. I do not have any money risked as of this moment. I want to be very clear about that. But when I was watching volatility in the morning, I said, this is breaking down too low. It needed to see a reaction here. But instead, the SPY saw more positivity. The volatility VIX was able to go negative, which means what is very likely here? A lower high, okay? A lower high is very likely. Something I will watch for, and I will post to Patreon, is if we make any kind of reversal signal for the 2 hour to turn up. That means for volatility, I will be looking for any kind of divergence around this 5-day moving average. Something that you notice here, the 30-minute was able to curl down, so it may need some reversal signals in the form of a higher low or a divergence, but the 2 hour chart is still in positive territory. So if it wants to remain down in here for a bit of time, curl down a little bit deeper, and this gets down by that center line and curls up, that means the next wave of volatility is coming. So even though I think there is probable cause to say we could make a new high for the Qs if we're able to squeeze through, and if we're really able to squeeze through, we could, repeat and make new signals for a drop. As of right now, volatility is not positioning for that. And as of right now, volatility is still saying, pay attention to some funky business with, I don't know, maybe Palantir earnings, the stock that all the government people own. I don't know, maybe the daily chart's still curled up. This will have to curl back down and fail dramatically. This will have to curl back down and fail and make new lows for this to go away. You still have the triple divergence holding for volatility. It looks like we may get one of those moments in the market where what happens? And I'm going to explain this how I really think it is. I believe that these moments, a lot of the time when I do see these things happening and volatility is showing this way, that we will go test higher levels. That is how I see it at this point. The retest is not over. You have not rolled, and this positivity was able to take you too high and cause volatility to drop off too much. So if we get a pullback and we head to the upside, I would just start to watch out if we start to make divergences at this level, even if we are able to go make a new high. Because a lot of the time when a big drop happens, you'll get the snapback so that everyone thinks it's okay, but really it's just a reason for some of their friends who forgot to get out at the highs and sell it to you. So I will be watching it carefully. I don't know what scenario we are in as of right now, but all I do know is the 30-minute is very likely to either continue or pull back down to the daily expected move. Sorry, I just ate dinner. And then curl up into positive territory, meaning the 2-hour chart could curl to the upside. It could go create a divergence point and fall. They could curl to the upside. We could get rejected from about the center point or the weekly expected move towards 636. This is the best information I can give you today. And once I see more information throughout the day tomorrow, I will be posting to Patreon. So if you would like to join, if you would like weekly expected moves for all the stocks that we do cover, please join because it is only $7. It costs you a nice cup of coffee a month, and you can join us for some extra information. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a fantastic night. Go spend it with some family, all right? Peace out.